Welcome to Tech Talk Tuesday, brought to you by Idaho Public Television and Montana PBS.
Hey, welcome back to Tech Talk Tuesday. For the month of February, we've been talking about Hyperdocs, and we used some of the discussion that we created last year with two teacher rock stars here in Montana, Amanda Rapstad and Sarah Dahl, to talk to us about Hyperdoc examples and how they fit into the classroom. And for this final episode for this month, Kari and I are going to go through some of our pro tips and tricks and some things we've learned, our preferences and things we've learned about Hyperdocs over the years. So I'm going to start by talking about something I learned recently about the difference between a Hyperdoc and what's known as a multimedia text set. And I learned this by going to the Hyperdocs website, where I saw them describing something called a multimedia text set. And of course I was like, what is that? And this is an example of a multimedia text set. It's basically a document with some images and some links. And we would share this document with students, and they would explore this one topic by clicking each of these links. And these links shows them a video, or it shows them an article, or it takes them to a game or an activity. And the idea is that the students would immerse themselves in this topic and learn everything they could by clicking all of the links on this text set. I created something very similar a couple of years ago when I was helping a teacher with her bird unit. Can you see my North American wild turkey now? Okay, change screen, so I want to make sure. I created this Google drawing where I have 3 videos linked for students to watch and learn more about the North American wild turkey. And from my purposes, I thought this was a Hyperdoc. But what I've learned is that this is a multimedia text set. One is not better than the other, but they just have different purposes. So when we want students to explore a topic using digital tools, which is a skill that kids do have to learn and do have to practice in order to do successfully. It can be much easier than setting them loose in Google. It can be much easier to take the links we want them to explore and put them in one place. In this case, I used a Google drawing. In this one that I was just showing you, it was a Google document using a table with a series of images. What makes the multimedia text set different than a Hyperdoc is that this isn't asking students to do anything. They're simply consuming the information through the media. We can take this further. We can use a text set then to lead them in to doing a Hyperdoc like this one. This one is a 3-2-1 bridge, and it's all about a fox. So if students read through all those things on the text box on the multimedia text set, a lot of words in this one, they could come back to this Hyperdoc and share these 3 thoughts, 2 questions, 1 analogy, and then come down here with the same and do these activities. So a Hyperdoc is a lesson. A Hyperdoc asks students to take what they've learned, to reflect on it, and then to produce some kind of answer, either by typing it into this document or by collaborating with their peers on something like a Padlet or a Flipgrid, or by creating some kind of a digital product. Whereas a text set is just a means for students to consume. The Hyperdocs website really recommends that teachers start with the multimedia text set as a way of scaffolding students to learn this way, to teach them to click on those links and to toggle back through their tabs to go back to where the original text set is. And once they get really comfortable doing that, then we can link the text set to a Hyperdoc where they need to perform a series of tasks based on what they learned. So if you go to the Hyperdocs website, which is hyperdocs.co, this one right here, you can sign up or sign in. The accounts are free, but if you come down to the Teachers Give Teachers section and click on Learn More, You can find templates and samples, as we've shared in the past, of Hyperdocs, but you can also learn more about multimedia text sets and how they could be used to support your students. There's also a whole checklist. Nope, where is what I lost all of the things I was looking for. Sample, here it is. It's over here. Can you see that now?
Is multimedia text sets?
Yes. So, and we'll put these links in our description. This is a sample multimedia text set by subject, and this is right on the website that you can grab this. So if you're looking for some pre-made things, let's say your class is reading The Wild Robot. This is a multimedia text set that was created to go with that book. So if you were going to give kids a pre-reading activity aligned to this book, they could read and click on all of these links and do these activities. But this one goes a little bit further because it does ask them to respond on a Padlet or a Flipgrid based on the things that they learned. So there is a tiny bit of a response in this one. But this is just an example of what that text set might look like. These are some really nice examples that a teacher could make a copy and edit and make their own, or if it fits exactly what you were planning to teach, you could just hand some of these examples to your students. So Kari, those were coming to some of the things I wanted to share today, but I know that you've got some Hyperdocs and things that you've used in the past that you can tell everyone about.
Yeah, I love what the website recommends about starting with the multimedia text set. I think sometimes we forget that working with tech is like working with math, right? First, you teach kids to do 1-digit addition and subtraction, then you move to 2 and 3. We scaffold that. We don't start at 3-digit. And sometimes I think with tech, we start at 3-digit addition first, and we don't step kids up. And then I think that's sometimes why the frustration level is so high for everybody involved, right? So even with older kids, like starting them through that text set, like Nikki said, and having them alternate between tabs and click on links and all of those things is a really good way to start getting kids sort of used to, navigating with digital things. I think sometimes we take for granted that kids are digital natives, but digital natives because they can watch YouTube, not necessarily because they know how to interact with documents like this. So I love that.
What I really like and subscribe and hit the notification.
Yes, thumbs up. Right, make a comment, but they don't always know how to use this as use it as an educational tool. So so I love just kind of taking it a step back and not starting right off with a Hyperdoc with kids who've never done any of this kind of stuff before. But I did want to show a couple of examples and talk about it. What I love about Hyperdocs is that you can do it in a couple of different formats. So Nikki showed you the text set that was in a Google Drawing and also a Google document. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, can you see that? Okay, this one is a Google Doc, and it's to walk kids through the narrative writing. So I'm a 5th grade teacher, so this was we did narrative writing in my 5th grade class. And so what I love about this is it is step-by-step walking them through it. The rubric is here. And then this does have some of those built-in videos that the kids watch. There's an article, there is a Padlet for the kids to share, but this was just created in a Google document. And then obviously there's links to some documents here. And then right here, they do it right within the document. The kids create that. So this is just again a table that they made in Google Docs. So I love this this Hyperdoc. I think it's a really great way for kids it's got some great examples, and it's a really good way for kids to kind of help step them through that narrative writing process. They even, there's even some extension things for them on this one. And so I mostly just wanted to show that because it is a Google Doc. Another one of my favorites that I used when I was teaching, again, I teach 5th grade, is this, which is a Google slide. or I taught 5th grade. I don't still teach it, but that was about Lewis and Clark. And I'll just be honest, like sometimes it was dry to read it in the textbook, right? And so this was a way to get kids to have the same information, but to interact with it. And so this is a Google slide. What I did with this was put it in a Google Classroom and assign everybody a copy, so that they each had their own copies of this. And you can see that it goes through and has the introduction, and then here's some things for them to read and watch, and lessons to do. And then again, there's text boxes here where the kids type right into the slide. There's also this is linked when I'm in presentation mode. This link will take them back to where the map is, so that kids can, click. This map is interactive as well, and it clicks, if you click on number 1, then it takes them to that question. If they want to go back to the map, now they want to learn about Fort Mandan, here's that one, with the things to read, the article about. So I love this Hyperdoc. What I liked about this one is because it's got the slides, you can link to different slides. And then, there's some more compare and contrast stuff here. And then obviously the credits. So I love this one. This one was one that I did with my students that we often worked through over the course of several days. And then, we would share with each other. We would obviously talk and discuss these things after, but I really like making Google Doc or Hyperdocs with slides, personally, for the reason that I showed you with that map. You can link out to different slides. And so sometimes when you do it within Google Docs, you have to either link out to a whole different document. Whereas this, they can stay right within this document, and you can link them to a new slide. So there's pros and cons to both of them. But really, I just wanted to kind of show you the difference between using a Google Doc to create a Hyperdoc or using a Google slide. And I found this, I don't know, I did not create this myself. This was a template that I think I found on the Hyperdocs website and just copied. So that website that Nikki shared is amazing because there's a lot of already created content that then I could just make a copy of and either use as is, or, like Lewis and Clark, it's pretty standard. So I just used it as it was. So that's what I wanted to share with you. So if you don't know how to do all of that cool stuff, you should play around with Google Slides. And because I feel like it's really versatile and lets you kind of do a lot of things. And I'll tell you that kids responded and loved this so much more than reading it out of their social studies book that we did, when we did that. They were more engaged, and they typically did better on the unit test at the end, to be honest with you, after I did this Google Doc or this Hyperdoc with them, because it's more engaging for them. So yeah, did you have any? That's really all that I wanted to share, is just sort of different ways that you can make them. Nikki, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on, I think I've heard teachers say this before about using slides as your platform for Hyperdocs helps kids to find their place after they put the work away and pick back up on it. So if it's a self-paced activity, which means it might happen over the course of several days or several class periods, and can be harder for kids to come back to a document and remember where they were in that table on a document. But navigating between the slides is a little bit easier for kids to figure out where they are and what they're doing. So I've heard from teachers, especially elementary teachers, that the slides format for a Hyperdoc is easier to manage in the classroom.
I could see that. That's a great tip. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, I can totally see that.
All right, well, that's everything we wanted to share during this episode. We hope we've inspired you to try using some Hyperdocs with your students, and tune in next month for more Tech Talk Tuesday. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.